Hello! Today we're going to learn how to basically create the effect, the illusion of a depth of field when everything is in focus. So normally how you would do this in a camera is you could do it by software. That's what we're going to do right now, a program, an app. There's some things where you can do it automatically, but right now I'm going to show you real quick 3 different ways how we can do this, okay? My first way that we're going to show you is, here I have a picture of my daughters. This is in Switzerland, and notice that the whole picture is in focus. I'm actually going to draw a selection around the girls, and so let me just zoom in. I'm going to go Command. I'm going to go Command plus on my Mac. Here, let's see, Command plus. And then I'm going to hold down Space Bar, and I'm going to get a selection like this. Now, depending what you're using to select, I'm just going to go around this. I'm going to use, for right now, I'm going to use the lasso tool. And I'm going to just manually, not perfectly, kind of give a little bit of space and go around the subject, okay? And in my opinion, using this method, this first method, it's a lot quicker in some aspects, and anybody can do this. However, I think the effect is not as good, but it still works. Okay, so now that you have a selection here, what we're going to do is let's duplicate this background. So right click, duplicate layer. There we go. And we are going to actually now create a mask here. So I'm going to go to the layer mask right here. And if you want to see what it looks like without the bottom background, you can see that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to make this a little bit softer here. So there's lots of things you can do. You can just feather it right here, which might work. You can even double click right here on this layer mask, and you can kind of go in here like this a little bit. I'm going to feather it. How much? Kind of in there. You can shift the edge to make it bigger, smaller. We might come back here at some point. Let's go like that, feather it. So right now, it depends on how close you made it. I want it to kind of feather right in here like that. Now, again, what numbers you use, I don't know. You don't want it to actually go past that. And I actually have the view right here set to overlay. So if you put this overlay setting on the layer mask, it will create this red in the background, and that gives you an idea what the mask looks like. So you can go OK, and if you want to see what that looks like, you can select the eye here for the background, and that shows you kind of what it looks like. Is that good? I don't know. We'll see. I might actually, and then let's say you want to undo what you did. You can come up here, and you can go back here, and you can change it. Okay, so this is one way you can do it. And what we're going to do now here is we're going to select the bottom layer, and we're going to go up into filter, and we're going to go to blur, lens blur. Okay, and we're going to select invert. Well, actually you don't have to select invert, and you're going to kind of go into whatever blurriness. Let's just try, I'm have it a little bit blurry, not completely. So like right here, 55. Select for the depth map, the source, you can go layer, mask, and I put more accurate. And as far as the shape, it's fine, radius 46. And then I'm going to select OK. And now you can see what happened here is you can see how it kind of created this illusion for the background to be out of focus. Okay. Now if I go back in the steps here and we go layer mask here, you can do this too. If you double click this layer mask right here, you could do something different. Instead of using the feather, you can use up here. So I have this selected here, and I can go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this minus until I can find out where that is right there. And so see how the layer, as I change that radius for the Gaussian blur, see how that edge gets kind of more blurred, more blurred? You can kind of go like that, and it's a matter of, you know, how blurred you want to make it. Too much and it's not going to work, right? So kind of in there somewhere like that. Maybe you can play around with the amounts because you can go back in the history, but let's go with maybe like 19 I put, okay? Now what we're going to do is that same thing. We're going to go click on the background and I'm going to go filter, I'm going to go blur, lens blur, and let's see if I did that right. There you go. So same idea. So that was with the Gaussian blur, and then also doing it with the feather. Now, I'm going to show you another way that I think is superior, and it's just a matter of whether or not you have this on your Photoshop. But if you have this ability, you can try this, a neural filter. So this is kind of cool. So I started back again. I'm going to make a duplicate layer just because it's good practice. And right here, I'm going to use the top. So I have two layers, the original background layer, and now I created another one that's going to be the one we're going to work on. We're going to work with this layer. So I'm going to go to the home screen. Or actually, no, you know what? If we go to, you can see if you have this real quick by going up here to neural filter. Under filter, you can see if you have this neural filters. If you have that, select it. And let's see here. That's the effect we're going to do, okay? So you can, to find it, you can go to home and then search tutorials. And you should have something like this that comes up. If you do, you can go to quick actions, and all the way at the bottom, I see this section that says neural filters. So if I select that, you're going to see all kinds of different filters that come up. So what do we have? We have one that down here, you might have to download these different ones, okay? But what we have here is one that is for, if I can find it here, depth blur. Depth blur is really fantastic, okay? So we're going to click this one because we're going to use this one. And there's a couple different things here you can do with this. Okay, let me just move this up here. Move this down here like this. So, it's already given you a preview. What you want to make sure is that you have focus subject. And it works if Photoshop is able to actually detect the subject. And right here, I have it set for 50. Now, I think, in my opinion, it's too strong. And it doesn't really do a good job. I think it looks too fake, if you ask me, okay? So I would go like this. I would bring the blur down, the blur strength down, and I would make it a lot less. And then I might change the focal length here to like maybe, I don't know, 50. Let's see what that looks like. To me, that looks like it's a lot more believable. Okay, and you can change that. I got it set for, you can even try maybe 25. Now, what you can do is you can do some cool effects over here too. You can actually change the temperature. So if you want to make the background a little bit more yellow, add a little bit of pink in there, you can do that. You can even make it like this. There's a cool one, if you want to use haze, you could throw down a little haze, okay? And you could try experimenting with a little bit, make it look a little bit more like the morning. I think too much, it looks a little bit not real. But you could try that too. You can try experimenting with the brightness, the darkness, honestly, something like that. You can even put a little bit of grain. Sometimes it's fun to kind of play with the grain. And then you can try, okay. So there's that. Now I'm going to show you another method that I think is actually really cool. So let's go back up here. I like to kind of do things over again. Let's close this out. Another way you can do this that, in my opinion, if you don't have the neural filters, a way that actually makes it look kind of believable, in my opinion here. Oh, you know what I need to do here? Let's go back here. Oh, okay. What you can do is, if you take the, let's see, it is the rectangle marquee tool, and you kind of go over this like that, and then you kind of move it. Honestly, you want to have a little extra, in my opinion. Kind of like that, maybe. Something like that. And so what you can actually do is the same idea. Let's duplicate this real quick. Let's go like that. And here we're going to, let me just make this a little bit bigger so you can see what we're doing. We're going to now do the same effect where we're going to blur this, but let's use a mask, layer mask right here. Let's go like that. And right here we can feather this. You could do the Gaussian too. So a couple different things. If you want Gaussian that, you can. But honestly, you can just feather that. Let's just try 50. How that's going to look. Let's see. You can kind of go like that. I think that's good. You can even, basically what you want to do is you want to make sure that the feather doesn't go into that area too much. You don't want the feather to go into the person. So that's where I'm going to scale back just a little bit. Now let's say you don't want to use this method. You can actually just double click this, and then you can kind of feather it this way. Same idea, feathering right there. And then you can kind of shift the edge too. If you need to shift the edge more, you can shift the edge like more, and then give it more feathering to kind of get it where you want it. The idea is you kind of want to emulate this kind of idea of the focus kind of shifting, right? There. So whatever way you want to do it, you can also use on that the Gaussian blur. Drop the Gaussian blur. Now underneath here, so that's what it kind of looks like. You can see under here you can select this bottom layer, the background layer, and I'm going to go into filter, and I'm going to go into the blur and lens blur. And so now we're just seeing how much blur we want. We want up here, source is going to be layer mask, and then it's just a matter of how much blur we're going to set. And notice everything's blurred, but when we do just the bottom part, it's going to mask it so just that other part is blurred. So I'm kind of looking at up here in the top portion of the picture, not the subject, the blurriness I want. Again, if it's too much, it's going to look fake. So I'm kind of getting some that's like slight blur. Now, if I go like this, you can see that looks actually kind of realistic. Now, so basically we added a blur here to this part, but this part of the subject, the background is blurred, but the subject and kind of a little bit before, after is in focus. So to me, that's a great way, if you don't have the neural filters, how you can kind of create that illusion of out of focus, and it looks actually, you know, it looks believable. So there you go, have it. Hopefully you can create some really cool photos that are slightly out of focus, giving that illusion of, you know, depth of field. If you don't have some expensive camera, this photo was taken with my iPhone, okay? So, you know, you can do this right here with your iPhone and Photoshop. If you didn't create this depth of field, you know, on your phone, if you don't have a fancy camera with a shallow depth of field where you're actually making a big aperture for your lens, this is how you can create that illusion of out of focus for the background.